Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Mbanugo, and from Nigeria. I'm a senior software engineer, and I work with Fuba Agency, where we develop custom software for different software house. And today, I'm here to share with you topic on how to pick a topic for your conference talks. And if you'd like to know more about me, you can find me on my website where I share some technical stuff, on Twitter also where I share and also go to source information. Yeah. So what I'll be sharing with you today are ways in which I go about generating ideas for things I want to share about for talks, and also it also applies to how I go about topics for blogging as well. So that you can be useful in both ways. And first category of how I go about picking an idea is based on what I do at work, and that could be almost anything. It could be related to the tools we use at work and how it help us achieve productivity or gain business value. It could also be processes in different ways. So, for example, I think some years ago I had an idea. I used to work with a supply chain company where we make supply chain systems that were being used by the federal government in Nigeria and also some NGOs. And the applications was developed to work offline. Through my experience working with those at that time, I saw that offline first was not something we talked about that often, and also for me, we were right in the scenario where there were heavy use case for that, where people would go into the field, and there are areas where the disconnect from the internet, or they need to sync data and get that across. So having those challenges made it easy for me to think about how what to talk about around that and areas in which I think will be useful for the conference attendants to take away and be able to know more about offline first and know how those works for our scenarios. Another way I go about topics as well is through side projects. Every now and then I do start different side projects. And I hack around. It could be around anything. So maybe I find some new tools we want to apply at work, or something I'm just curious about, or maybe just a hobby to get used to over time. I start working on that, and maybe I reach a point where I find a way to integrate different tools together, and I find them useful. I look around conferences that those kind of topics will be useful for, and I make a talk around it. For example, recently I started learning more about containers and Dockers and Kubernetes, and I was playing around with OpenFast and reading about some serverless 2.0 topics and Knative, and built up some Kubernetes clusters and connected different tools. And I found out that there's this fast CLI tool which I used, which was mostly for OpenFast. I discovered that I can use the same tool to work with Knative as well, and also be able to deploy on DigitalOcean. And that scenario is something that is not documented officially in any of those sites. It's the tool was mostly developed for OpenPass, but I figured a way to get it to work across those different platforms, which means I can deploy multi-cloud and multi-platform with the same tool. And for me, that is the way I can go to conferences, present that idea, and show people how I use it for my projects and how I plan to integrate it for what I do at work as well. So that is another way you can figure out what to do. Also, you can pick out ideas based on personal interest or something that sparks your curiosity. Maybe you want to learn about how to apply Kubernetes at work, and you can figure out some areas you want to talk about, maybe something around Kubernetes or some tools that will help you develop and be efficient as a developer working on Kubernetes, and you want to talk about that to some JavaScript developers or to Go specific developers rather than Kubernetes operators, you can, for me, the way I go about that is I do a high level review of the tool and tech stack and things I think will likely be possible, and I make that into a talk. And once my talk gets approved, then I start researching about it and putting this together and delivering my talk. And yeah, that also works for me. Also, in for blog posts, I find things that are interesting. I've not actually done some of them, but I propose the ideas to some publishing houses, and once they approve of the idea, I start putting things together and getting it to work. And that has been working out great for me. And I think those areas are useful to find ideas. Just a general tip as well regarding all these, because those three are the pattern I use in generating ideas. But another way of knowing how to carve out a talk abstract is I look at the conference theme and know what the conference is about. I then decide on what I want to talk about and make an abstract deciding on what I want the key takeaway for my audience to be. For example, relating to the offline first solution. When I did that, I wanted them to see how we use CouchDB and PouchDB together, and the challenges we face where when we reach some limits with CouchDB and how we try to circumvent the scenario. So that, I think, is a general guideline from me on how you can go about picking a topic and getting that delivered. So look at what you do at work, your side projects, and how you integrate things together, curiosity and things you would like to learn about and research about, and you think you can do present at conferences. And that's it. Thank you for listening. I hope I'm able to convey some knowledge that will be useful for you. If you still have questions, you can reach out to me anytime on Twitter at P_Mbanugo. Thank you.
So much. That was